Welcome to another installment of Comparative Reasoning. I'm your host, Cedric Kennedy. Joining me today is the creator of The Wicked Orchard and co-founder of Comparative Reasoning, Cedra Owens.
All right. Just listening to the Tom Hartman show when he was having a conversation with one of his guests. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but he was talking about that a big problem was the death of news when Ronald Reagan deregulated the news industry back in '87, which of course is something else that I didn't know. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know it. Is that before 1987, news organizations had to actually report the news, and if they didn't, then their affiliates would lose their FCC licenses. When Reagan deregulated that, and that's when what Tom Hartman called the infotainment industry began. I guess you got news like Inside Edition and Entertainment Tonight and all that dumb shit doesn't tell you anything. News doesn't tell you anything anymore. When I was younger, I remember news would tell you something. You know, it came on at 6 and 6:30, and it talked about stuff. If you see clips about the news back during the Vietnam War and before that, they reported things. The news doesn't report anything anymore. They just follow people around and they talk about Kim and Kanye and Donald and Hillary, who are all reality stars. And it's stupid. It's a disservice. And the people who follow them religiously, the 55 and overs, don't see that, and they won't go anywhere else to get their news, which is why Hillary and Donald are doing so goddamn well.
What about the younger generation? What about them? Because they get it from tweets, hashtags, their friends, not so much billboards or anything like that. But if there's a trend of hashtag this, then I would say the 18 to maybe 27-year-olds are the ones that are going to be all about that.
Well, it takes a certain amount of responsibility. You have to look more than Twitter and what Becky is telling you on her Twitter feed about news. You have to look for other news sources that are telling you stuff like, the Tom Hartman show or the Young Turks, who are going to report everything. And I say 90% of the time is unskewed, which is a lot higher percentage than you're going to get on Fox News or CNN.
Fox News has been reported you get a little dumber listening to them because they don't give you any information at all. It's the same fog words trying to drown out the election by using something like demonizing the urban community or the inner city, dog whistle politics such as that, or the LGBT community just, trying to rape your children. The LGBT community can't wait to get a hold of your 5-year-olds in a bathroom stall. Somehow your 5-year-old goes to the bathroom in public by themselves somehow. But that's what Fox News does. And it's reported that people actually get dumber watching it and far less informed of any issue that's going on.
Well, TV is dying out. I mean, nobody is clamoring to watch the news on TV. It's all about TV shows and things like that. But you can live stream TV shows. You can download. You can wait for the DVD box set to come out. You don't have to be tethered to your TV to watch your favorite shit anymore. And when it comes to giving a damn about stuff that's going on around you, Give a Damn starts to build as you get older, first and foremost. As you start to change the way you see the world and take on more responsibilities, more so than what are you going to wear to school the next day. That's when Give a Damn starts to build. It also starts to build when you teach your children Give a Damn. If you are black parents and you have a black son and daughter, you're going to make them privy to the issues that affect black people, because when they step out of here, when they're 15 to 20, they got to be able to stay alive. The same thing goes on for the LGBT community. If you are growing up in a Christian fundamentalist household and you figure out, damn, I'm gay, that's going to put you in a different headspace and make you more open to what is going on to people who are like you in the world. It's called empathy. Now, for those who don't have empathy, they're not black, they're not gay, they don't have a friend that's black or gay or Latino or being persecuted. it'll take them a whole lot longer if they ever get there. But on the flip side of that, the younger generations, they are exposed to the internet. They are exposed to people of all colors and all cultures, and that has expanded the minds of a lot of quote unquote millennials to make them see that what happens to someone that isn't me is fucking important. And the only time that ever happens in history is if people are shamed into it. I can't remember his name right now, but the guy who was president during MLK's civil rights movement.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you. I could not remember. Lyndon Johnson, the only reason why he was spurred into action regarding the civil rights movement and voting rights is because the U.S. was looking like fucking barbarians, hosing people, killing people, lynching people, and insulting and assaulting people who were doing nothing but walking, singing, sitting. It looked like fucking crazy people to the rest of the world. Like, why are you killing these people that do nothing but sitting there? So he was spurred into action from shame and guilt and the fact that he didn't want to look like the trash of the fucking world. And more people who run this country don't care about that. It's not that they're racist. They're not sexist. They're not even classist. They're not even elitist. They just do not care. It's all about their pockets and how much they can be lined. So they will be on your side for Black Lives Matter today and be on your side for the 1% tomorrow if it benefits their pockets. And that's even worse than being sexist or racist, because if you're racist, at least you take a stand, no matter how ignorant it may be. But if you don't care, then you don't care. You don't stand for shit.
You think the same thing happened with President Lincoln when he wanted to join the Confederacy and the Union?
Yeah, he wanted to keep the country together. He didn't want to be the president that was overseeing everything when the country divided. And honestly, I can't fault him for that. You don't want to be running things when they fall apart. So you do what you do the best you can to keep it together. And if people benefit from it, great. But of course, history writes things differently to make things look better. I don't think it makes him look bad that he just wanted to keep the country together. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you don't want your children to divorce you and leave the house. Like, damn, the kids left me and I'm the one that's the running the household. It looks bad. It makes you feel bad. Do I really deserve to be in the spot that I'm in? So there's nothing wrong with him trying to keep the country together. It's just that everyone's saying Abe wanted to free the slaves and that's why he did everything. That's just bullshit. It was an afterthought. It happened in regards to because of what he was trying to do to keep the country together. And yeah, it benefited because we're not slaves like that now. You know, it could be a lot different if he had the one to do that. But that's what he wanted to do. And blacks at the time benefited from it slowly.
So do you think it was a reverse of that when not only Nixon, who started his thing against drugs, his war against drugs, which targeted minorities and illegal immigrants the most, but when Hillary advocated for that and supported Bill Clinton when he initiated, I think it was a 3 strikes rule, no tolerance that they all got initiated in California.
Well, Nixon was a miserable person. You know, he had an enemies list and he was just generally miserable. So he made a lot of decisions just for the sake of making other people miserable because he didn't like hippies, he didn't like blacks. So what am I going to do to affect them? I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a war on drugs. I'm going to make healthcare so unbelievably expensive and push things in the court of the insurance companies that who's going to suffer? Rich white folks are not suffer because of high insurance rates. You know, they can get transplants and treated and all these expensive stuff without a problem because they're rich. But if you're poor and you're sick and you're poor and you're dying, that's when you suffer. So he didn't care about the blacks. He didn't care about the poor. He didn't care about the hippies. It was just, you know, whatever he could do to make them miserable. And he did it. Hillary and Bill, I still think it's about the money. Whatever was going to bring in the revenue. Now, I don't know how the 3 strikes rule brought them revenue. Maybe we'll find out in the coming years. But I believe that deep down, it's just all about the dollar. And somehow it did. Somehow sending the jobs overseas with NAFTA line their pockets. It's all about them making money. So when we get screwed criminally, when we get screwed financially, when we get screwed healthcare wise, when we get screwed economically, somehow the Clintons get paid.
It seems to be like that with all the government. I was trying to do a little quick history that things don't change. We just repeat the same mistakes, and with different revenue, with different technologies at our fingertips, the game don't change. Just the way the game is played is changed. Instead of going out like Lincoln would have to do and talking to the people and getting the votes to do what he wants to do, Nixon could rig things however he needed, with TV advertisements and things of the sort to get people on his side. Just as much as the Republicans had failed enough where Clinton was able to get into office, and what he was able to do was galvanize the Democrats and push through anything that he wanted to, although it did benefit the wealthy, the corporations, by sending jobs overseas and hurting the American people, the citizens, and illegal immigrants and legal immigrants. It doesn't change. And as time goes on, Bush got in and he allowed tax evaders, basically, which is what I would rather call the corporations, because they don't have to pay taxes through all the loopholes. If there was a clause that just says, this is what you pay of what you earn, and that's it, on a percentage, just eliminate the loopholes. I'm not saying that my idea is best, but it's a lot better than giving a bunch of loopholes so they pay absolutely nothing. And Obama, who did nothing but put everything Bush did on steroids. I mean, he did run for hope and change. We just didn't know he was not talking to us. He was talking to the corporations. He threw us bones here and there, and some of those bones were good, but Obama, basically, he was just another Clinton. Reagan, he got the black vote. He did a great job, and then he screwed them over. Clinton, he got the black vote, and he screwed them over. Obama severely got the black vote, and he screwed them over. And now Hillary, well, she's got the black vote because, if you're black, you vote Democrat. And if you're a woman, you're going to vote for Hillary because, as it was said, if you are a female and don't vote for Hillary, then there's a special place in hell for you. So just letting it be known that history always repeats itself when it comes to leadership abilities, because the people don't run the government anymore. The Constitution and laws were made so that the people control the government. Now the government controls the people, and the wealthy control the government, especially with the Clintons and their apathy. So as long as Hillary's going to get paid her $250,000 for a speech, and her actions are going to be different than her rhetoric, and there's a public stance that she speaks on, but that's just to get the votes, whereas the private stances are her real goals, because that's who pays her. And as I said before, when I gave the example of if you got 20 friends and you got a job and those friends say you can live on your own merit and principles and whatnot, you don't need that job, you're going to say, no, fuck that. I need to put food on the table. I need to stay in this home or apartment. I need to be able to eat. I need to be able to pay my bills. You're going to screw those friends over for that one job. So Hillary isn't worried about the country. She's worried about her job. She wants to make money and not possibly go poor again or close to it. Being poor scares the hell out of people. And if you can find a way into power, you're definitely going to take it. Trump, as we know, he's going to sell. He's said that he would sell his candidacy for, I can't remember the number. I thought it was 100 million. It might have actually been 100,000 or 200,000.
I doubt it was that much. I'm sure it was far more.
Yeah, more, less. Even if he said for 500 million, even if he said that, the fact that you would sell your candidacy for president at all, it should scare people into wondering what he would sell as president. If he wins, you think these billionaires control Hillary, what are they going to do with Trump? Because Trump got as many kind of Bernie mindset people in the Republican side because he said, I don't need billionaires' money, I got my own. He alienated the 10% that would lobby and the 1% that would definitely control. And now he can't get those people on his side when his campaign is crumbling. So when it comes to Trump, what do you think is really going on?
Trump doesn't want to be president. He walks out onto the stage every day and he's got a revolver in his hand. He puts the mic to his lips, he aims at his foot, and he fires, trying to shoot himself in the foot so that he can lose. But he misses because no matter what he does, the people who support him, the ignorant, fearful people who support him, love it. I hate Mexicans, they're murderers and rapists. Yay! We're going to make the Mexicans pay for a wall. Yay! The people who are protesting my rallies, get them out of here. Back in the day, we would have put a bullet in their head. Yay! Yeah, I can grab a bitch by the pussy and she'll let me. Yay! It doesn't matter what he says or does. These people are so ignorant and so fearful that their country is going away and that this orange-faced despot is going to save it for him, that it doesn't matter what they do. He can ask them to line their daughters up on I-95 so he can grab their pussies as he goes by, and they will do it because they're such scared bitches. And it's just sad. This is not the 1500s. This is not the year 1000 where we all live in little villages and we all know that we are the center of the universe. No, we know the world is vast. All the different colors of people, all the different religions, all the different cultures that are on this planet, and still we are battling the fear of the other. We've been seeing the other for years. What the fuck are you afraid of? Why are you so scared? Everybody is born. Everyone's going to die. Everybody wants to have a family, whether they have children or not, live and be happy. So why is everybody so fearful of the other? What is with all this xenophobia? Nobody ever steps way back and look at the big picture that, if the sun went supernova today, we'd all be fucked at the same rate. And no color, no religion, no dollar sign is going to save you. So why fucking make it an issue? I don't understand that.
Because that's what they were taught. Same as Trump. See, you say it's not the 1500s. I'll say that some will say it's not the 1200s. And the truth is, it is. It still is. It is still that time of slavery. The Europeans settled trying for another crusade, which they did. They found minorities, black people, that was probably saying, hey, how are you doing? You're new here. Would you like some beans? Would you like some plants? Welcome. And Columbus and them pretty much raped them, disfigured them, dismembered them, and wore body parts as trophies. And Columbus is celebrated. So you think about that.
But it doesn't even matter the color. Okay, Africans sold Africans to the Europeans, and that's how slaves got here. In the Crusades, they were battling each other. They were battling other brown people. They hated Irish. They hate their own color. They hate other color. Blacks hate their own color. They hate other colors. And what is the point? It's just a color. It's just a color. They all want the same thing. Granted, if someone of your color or someone of a different color wrongs you, then that individual wronged you. The whole fucking race didn't wrong you. I can hate somebody that's black just like I hate somebody that's white for what they have done to me personally. They come and punch me in the face. Okay, they earned it. I'm not going to say, you know what? All whites punch me in the face, so I hate all of them. That's bullshit. And I just don't understand how people can have that thinking and think that it makes sense.
Because that's what they were taught.
Everybody can shirk what they're taught. We're all taught shit when we're small children. And eventually we usually go away from it because we have our own minds. We have our own cognitive minds that are put in our brains by whatever it is you believe that put you here. And it's an extraordinary thing. So why can't you use it?
Because it takes too much effort. But think about this, okay? You've got your typical, let's say your typical Caucasian. And that person grows up and he hears around the dinner talk, about what black people do, what the Mexicans do, how bad off they are, how they destroy America. They hear that. That's what they grow up hearing from their parents. And when they get to school and they're growing up in school, because, people got to be real about this. Your child grows up at home and at school, and they learn from their teachers, they learn from their friends. So roughly around middle school, they start seeing these racial differences. They start hearing the talk of, this person got a flat face. Look at their skin complexion. They got a flat face. Look at their eyes. Look at their ears. And you start hearing that talk of they're different. And then that begins the separation. That begins the emotional segregation that people thrive on. Now, when they get older, that may change their outlook. Oh, I find that attractive now. But it doesn't stop that part of them that says, fuck those people. It doesn't stop that because of their circle of friends. This Caucasian that I'm using, this hypothetical one, will eventually have friends that don't like minorities. It happens. And this Caucasian will most likely listen to their stories that they got from their parents, that they also hear from their friends, and they learn this. It's taught. It's hardwired through all of these generations, and it's still being preached at home and in school. And then they want to get the truth, so their parents guide them to what? Fox News. And they hear Bill O'Reilly. The inner city community has a problem. They are poor in education. Their fathers are always missing. They are raised in single homes. They have very poor job opportunities, and they don't try to lift themselves up. And that is what they hear. So when they hear this constantly, it's like, well, why don't they lift themselves up? They're in their community. Why don't they clean it up? Why don't they paint their homes, get their homes fixed, and do these things? What they don't understand, this Caucasian would not understand, is what he's asking and saying is, why don't these people that are always either negative in the bank or maybe have at best $150 to save just to spend on a car note or some other bill, or to replenish supplies for the home so that they can, eat or clean certain things? Why don't these people, this family, why don't they undertake these $5,000 and $10,000 jobs on their homes and in their community? They don't understand. That's what they're asking. They're asking people why don't these people who have nothing do something very expensive that's way beyond their budget and do what we do? Why don't they live like we live? And they'll say, why don't they invite a friend over to live with them and work and help pay the bills there, and they can live in their parents' basement? I mean, their basement, it's a good place. It's not very lavish, but it's large. They don't understand that minorities usually don't live in homes that have a subterranean home called a basement. We have a crawl space, because if you're not crawling, you're not getting in that space. And when I was growing up, a crawl space was, when I saw on TV, was behind a wall. But then again, I pretty much saw what I guess we would call outer city TV shows. Since inner city would be poor, outer city should be middle class and upper. That's why people are still racist, and it works on both sides. Black people do it the same way. Or you'll hear Well, a white man ain't going to give you nothing. Well, white people don't care about you. You think white people this and white people that? You hear that. Black people are not going to get away from that. So racism is taught on all sides. And that's why I advocate taking a hit. Each side will have to take a hit and say, look, parents, shut up. Media, shut up. Bill O'Reilly, shut up. All of this, shut up. We all live on this planet. We all will suffer the same consequences. Earthquake, typhoon, tornado, floods, drought, extreme cold, extreme heat. We all suffer these things. So all this racism and bigotry, it should end, but it can't. And the reason it can't is because we're taught, we're hardwired. If it could end, that would be nothing less than a miracle. But it can't. We have to hate. We have to listen to those that know nothing, that teach us everything. That's the biggest problem that all of us have. Does that explain anything?
It does, but I think people aren't taught to think critically. And those who are taught to think critically usually at some point do. And it'll lead them down a different path. If you are taught to be put on a path and that's the path you stay on and you don't deviate, you just move forward because you are what race you are what religion you are, this is where you grew up, then you haven't been taught to think critically. You've been taught to stay in the lines of where you were born. And that's fucked up because you're born and we're supposed to be in a free country. So, we should be able to explore all the things that we want to. It's probably part of the reason why people have such problems with teenagers, because they don't want to be in that box that their parents put them in. They haven't attained the ability to think critically yet, so they're just all over the place. And it's infuriating. And it's infuriating for them too because they have no focus and they just look like some dumbass, and that's how people view them. And then when they get 25, 30, they be like, damn, I was a dumbass. Everybody looks back and says that I was a dumbass.
But then they put themselves in the same box that their parents were.
Well, then hopefully, if they learn how to think critically, they put themselves in a different box that has a lid. See, we need lids. It's okay to have a box where you're comfortable. You can't be out there protesting everything 24/7. Nobody's got that in them. You want to be able to come home, close your lid, watch some Scandal, and be okay. But don't lock it. You got to be able to pop it open and say, well, what's going on out here? I'm not for that. Step out your box and venture over there. And then when you're done adventuring and learning and sharing and growing, you can come back to your box, sit down, watch some Walking Dead. Crack your lid open the next day and do it all over again. Everybody's in a box. Just don't lock your fucking box.
That's sensical. It's easy. But people don't want to do that. They don't. They want the world to burn beneath their feet and blame somebody else for the cause of it. That's what they want to do. The corporations, for example, they want to be deregulated, which is what happens. Every year there's further and further deregulation. So we got these orange minerals in our water. You get pipelines bursting. You get flammable water coming out the tap. You get lead in your water. You get more contaminants in your oil, which will hurt your car, which will in time lead to more car repair, engine repair, basically totaling the car. Deregulations do these things. Deregulations allow oil to filter into the oceans. Deregulations allow more chemicals into the air that need not be there. Deregulation allows places like Bayer and Monsanto to put poisons in our foods, advertise that it's safe, and then we consume it, get ill, get sick, and we then have to go to the doctor, which they don't necessarily help us. They just prescribe medicines. It's not helping us. It's more like lining their pockets because that's what they do. I see you have this problem. I notice these symptoms. I will give you this. And if this don't work, I will give you this. If that don't work, I will give you this. If that don't work, we will give you this. and you say, I would like to try some holistic remedies. And they say, I wouldn't advise that because you don't know what they do. Please go with this prescription, this $40, this $60, this $80, this $800 prescription. And if you need an EpiPen, you're really fucked. Deregulation does all of these things. There's a cause and effect. And through the deregulation, in time, when we slowly run out of drinking water, when we are having to actually use Perrier from Spaceballs, when we actually have to open cans and breathe in fresh air, when we have to do all this, it won't be their fault. Oh, they burn the world at their feet, but they're going to blame the little guy. They're going to blame the 99%. They're going to blame every working person and say, it's your fault because you wanted handouts. You didn't want to work to save your environment. You wanted handouts. And what will the 99% do? They will blame each other. The 99%, the white people are going to blame the Mexicans and illegal immigrants. And they're going to blame the fatherless, single parent, inner city, street urban youth super predators that did nothing but ruin their own society and not build anything up because they wanted a handout. They're going to blame the welfare queens, which they believe are the same community, which more Republicans are on welfare than anything else. They're going to blame everything. The Bible thumpers are going to blame the atheists. Everyone is going to blame everyone except for the ones that should be blamed. That's, if anybody wants to know, is how the world ends. By not taking a hit, by not being accountable, by giving in to fog words, dog whistle politics, and this need to be better than your neighbor by any means necessary. That's what's going to happen. The world will be fine. It's just a rock floating in space with dense, clear liquid with light spectrum shining in as blue. That's all it is. The planet is going to survive anything we do. We are not going to survive anything we do. And we're going to blame each other for it. I think that's the major problem in all of society around this planet. You could ask China if you could see through their smog. You could ask LA if you could see through their smog. You could go and talk to the people in the Midwest if you don't fall in a hole from fracking and earthquakes. There's a lot that you could do if you could get there safely. I think that's about it for this. Thank you for listening.